Hello investors and traders, and welcome to the weekly market report with the market guys. I'm AJ Monty. This is a 1-year daily candle chart of the Russell 2000 index, ticker symbol RUT, and I've left my lines on the chart from last week's report so you can see how the forecast worked out. And as I zoom in here, you'll see again this was the forecast that I put out. It's that diagonal line that I drew from last Friday's close, and the end of the line is my price target. If you've been following along with the market guys, you'll know that when I draw a diagonal line like that, I also put a target price so that people can use that for risk management and forecasting in their own accounts. But that is exactly what happened. Today, the market closed right at the end of that line, right on my target price, and that worked out to be 100% accurate. This line up here is my resistance line. I'm going to leave that in place because if I draw my line for next week, I think that we're probably going to go up just a little bit more just to test these most recent highs here. But then I think we're going to pull back as we start to see the selling coming in towards the end of the year as we start to move into January. If you go back to last week's report, you'll understand why we are expecting a slight sell-off in the last week of the year, mainly so that the fund managers could take their profits, get their big fat bonuses, and move on. But investors will wait until January, the first week of January, to sell and take their profits, because then they defer the tax consequence into 2019. So in other words, if they take their profit in the first week of January in 2018, they won't have to pay the tax on that until April of 2019. So they get an extra year of deferment. So that's my forecast for next week in the Russell 2000. Now, if we look at the Qs, that's QQQ, it's a Nasdaq market. You'll see my lines are in place once again from last week's report. Interesting thing happened here is that there's the end of the line, which is my target. We hit that target early on in the week, and then we pulled back. So interesting again how we see this small bodied candle right at a new support level. So what I'm going to do for the Nasdaq, again, that's 100% accurate in the forecast, I'm going to suggest that we'll see a little bit of a rally in the Nasdaq next week, because as we move into the January effect, if you understand what that means, this large cap stocks are sold and people start to move into the small cap stocks, which are generally found in the Nasdaq market. So that's going to be my forecast for the Nasdaq next week. Now the spiders and the diamonds did not move in line with the rest of the market. In fact, I said that as well. Sometimes we get a mishmash of trading activity. Just because the Russell 2000 went up doesn't mean that all markets are going to go up. We gapped up early on in the week, and then we pulled back to fill this gap. Now, I'm going to erase all lines at this point because it's starting to get a little confusing for folks. And I'm going to leave this line in place right there. That is the roll reversal support. Now, I think we're going to break down below that support and pull back to the 20-period moving average next week. We have a shortened trading week because Christmas holiday falls on a Monday. We're only going to have 4 trading weeks, hence the reason why that line is fairly short. And then on New Year's Monday, which is January 1st, we're also having a shortened trading week. So this shortened trading week could actually add to the volatility. So that pullback is what I'm expecting for the S&P 500. Now, let me interject the VIX here, and I'm going to show you. This was my forecast for the VIX. I said we would rally. We did that just slightly, but I'm going to leave that target in place. I'm just going to move it over to the side here. I'm going to erase this line, and I'm going to move it. I'm going to try to keep that target exactly like I had it. I think the VIX is going to rally. We have a good stretch of green candles right here as we bounce off the support. And remember, if the VIX is bullish, that means we're bearish on the S&P. They're inversely related. I just got finished talking about why I thought the S&P would pull back, and that's why. Because the VIX is primed to rally right now, and that's going to have a negative effect on the S&P. Now let's go to the last market, and then I have one other stock I'm going to talk about. But before that, let me go to the diamonds. The diamonds, I'm expecting to pull back. We saw a bearish engulfing pattern, but guess what? It didn't quite follow through, but I think it will. So I'm just going to project this line. I'm going to move this over here. I still think that the diamonds are going to pull back, mainly because the hedge fund managers will be selling the large cap stocks, like I said. That'll put pressure on the Dow. It'll start to rally the Nasdaq, and we get a little bit of confusion as these markets tend to go different ways. But that's going to be my forecast, with the end of that line being the target for the Dow. Now on December 14th, let me go to that chart right here. I made some comments on the Bitcoin market. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not an investor in Bitcoin, nor do I see myself ever investing in Bitcoin, but I know a lot of people are. So I put out this report on December 14th because the charts were just a screaming sell. And I was doing my best to help people manage risk, because I know there's a big emotional charge to this Bitcoin market. Everyone's looking to make $1 million overnight. And I saw some very obvious signals that the Bitcoin market was going to pull back. This inverted hammer right here with a long shadow up top told me that the sellers were moving in. All of these fan lines were going more and more vertical. It was the first time that I ever saw 9 fan lines in a row without being broken, and I'm going back 35 years. I said that there were gaps below the market, and I made a projection that the Bitcoin market right here would pull back. Now, I put this chart out on Facebook through the Market Guys website. I put it out on Twitter to my 45 or so thousand followers there. I even put it on LinkedIn. So if you follow me on LinkedIn, I have millions of people that follow me on LinkedIn. And that was my projection. Now look at what happened today alone. This is what happened with the Bitcoin market. This was the week, again, that I put it out. And at the time, it was early in the week, there was an inverted hammer. And then it turned out to be a green candle. But look what happened this week. This is the first time in the history of Bitcoin that we've had such a significant bearish engulfing pattern on the weekly chart. So remember, going back to my forecast, the end of the line is my target price. Right around 11,000 is what my forecast was. And look where we closed today, 11,779. I actually think it could go a little bit lower next week. We'll have to see. And here's why. Once a fan line is broken, it generally, and I'm talking 90% of the time, it will break down to the next fan line. And that it did that in 1 week. But at the end of this week, it broke down and closed below this 8th fan line. There were 9 fan lines. 9 is almost vertical. 8 is right here, which leaves 7 right here. So there's a good chance that the Bitcoin market is going to drop all the way back down this fan line and go maybe 10,000, maybe even 9,000 to fill this gap. So again, I put this out as a freebie because I see so many people getting hurt in the Bitcoin market with scams and multi-level marketing, which I think is a big Ponzi scheme with regard to Bitcoin. I believe the multi-level marketing is a model, but this looks like a pyramid to me because you're basically marketing money. You're not marketing a product or a service. So I know that the SEC has lots of warnings out there. I'm just trying to do my best to help people save their money, because the week of the 11th and right up to the 14th, I saw articles coming out that people were mortgaging their homes to get into the Bitcoin market. And if anyone has done that, especially in the last 2 or 3 weeks, they are now hurting big time. And I'm, again, being a financial lifesaver because I think it's responsible that I at least talk about the risks here. So remember, Monday is going to be our Christmas holiday. Merry Christmas to all of you who celebrate Christmas. And next week, or the week after next, is New Year's. Happy New Year to everyone. I'll be talking to you before then. But make sure that you watch the markets, particularly after Christmas, because there's going to be some volatility. And I want everyone to be safe through the holiday season with their financial matters. And I want you to have a good time to be able to enjoy the time off with your family. So again, Merry Christmas, and we'll talk to you soon. So long.
This video segment is a small part of what the Market Guys offer through their educational products and services. If you are interested in any of our Trade Alert services, or you would like more information about our one-on-one mentoring program, simply contact us at info@themarketguys.com.